right? So guess what? We ride motorcycles. I ride a motorcycle. He does
okay.
too.
Okay.
Guess what I'm doing now? I'm not going to barbecues with him. He's still my friend, but we ride motorcycles together. And when you ride motorcycles, you don't talk much. You just have fun, right? So he can't give me all that negative energy. Because, I mean, we stop, we refuel, we keep going. So at the end of the day, we ride for 5 hours, for 6 hours. We say to each other 3 sentences. He's still my friend, but you just kind of change a little bit. So that.
Jacqueline and Melvin Landry, and we welcome you to our podcast, Get Diversified. Throughout these series, we'll cover all the topics and questions you have about investing in apartment buildings, storage facilities, and mobile home parks. Being knowledgeable in these areas will help you feel more comfortable about investing. Apartment investing equals building wealth. Building wealth equals financial freedom. Achieving financial freedom allows you to spend your time with building memories with your loved ones. Let's face it, time is the one element in life that is limited.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Get Diversified. My name is Melvin Landry, and we are here for another episode. And we have with us Mr. Vlad Arakcheyev.
Yes, thank you.
Vlad, welcome to the show, man. We're happy to have you and looking forward to speaking with you and as part of the Get Diversified podcast series.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super pumped to be here. Thank you for inviting me on your show.
Hey, indeed. Well, Vlad, hey, why don't you kickstart us off telling our listeners, where you're from, how you got into real estate, and kind of where your trajectory is going right now.
Sure, yeah. I'm in Jersey, and my real estate journey has just been completely crazy, where I had W-2 that was nothing to do with real estate at all. I was a graphic designer. I used to make billboards that you see on the side of the highway. And COVID hit, and then I got furloughed. And I got to figure something out, right? So my wife mentioned, try to be a realtor, because real estate is like coming up. Everybody needs to sell or buy a house. I mean, people got to live somewhere, right? So I said, sure, let's try it. But I was very skeptical because I didn't know anything about real estate. I did buy a house, my house, with a realtor, but everything was, given to me pretty much. All the paperwork, everything, I was told what to do. So anyway, I got called back into my W-2, and at night I started studying for the realtor exam. Passed the test, picked a brokerage, and I'm a real estate agent here in New Jersey. And I'm thinking, all these people talking about like wholesaling and flipping, and I'm like, what is that all about? Mm-hmm. So I started going to a local meetups here in New Jersey, just few around me, and met wonderful people that taught me, hey, this, you can assign a contract, right? You can be a wholesaler. If somebody needs cash, they don't want to list with a realtor, what's my option? So started doing that a little bit here and there, and but ultimately, what do we all want? Passive cash flow, right? We want that passive income. Yep. So I got a rental in Jersey too. It's a single family rental, and it was cash flowing $1,000 a month net after all the expenses. And mind you, I found it on MLS. Okay. It's just, found a really motivated seller. I guess he liked me too, and got that. And everything was going, but then it was not enough, because as you stop reaching out to sellers, as you stop calling, your leads dry out. So you have to do something. You have to figure out something. So the next step is multifamily. I thought of let's try like maybe a duplex or something like that, because just to try it out. And then my wife said, "What's the difference between a duplex, a quad, or 20? Mm-hmm. You just you'll figure it out. Since you don't know a duplex, you don't know 20. So go for the big guy, for the big one.
Yeah, go hard or go home, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So we got tickets. Well, my wife got the tickets to MFIN, which is Multifamily Investors Nation. It was in Houston.
Okay.
We flew over there and saw all these multifamily investors and all this just craziness. And by crazy, I mean people are talking, oh, I have $2,000, I have $5,000, and I'm building this and I'm building that, and they're talking millions of dollars. And I'm like, how is this all possible? It's possible. And they just said it's just so easy. You just have to find your who, a person that knows how to do it, partner with them, and make it happen. So after I came back, I made basically like a list of things that I need. Number one on the list, education. Because without education, you wouldn't know what to do. And there's two things you can do. You can do it yourself, and pretty inexpensive or cheap, by going on podcasts, by listening to YouTube videos, buying few books. They're pretty cheap. That'll take you longer. But since I was pretty impatient and my wife was more impatient than myself, she said, we have to have a mentorship. So we interviewed everybody. All these large multifamily mentors, we spoke with all of them, and ultimately we joined Jake and Gino. They just aligned with our views and our goals more, and that's why we did. So if you're going to go and interview with large multifamily mentors, make sure they have a track record and speak with them really just to see if you guys click. So because they all teach you, maybe they teach you similar things, but at the same time, your values should be the same.
Yep.
Right. So if it's just that's how it is. So I started with Jake and Gino, and I identified my markets where I'm going to buy multifamily, which is Texas, Kansas, and the Carolinas. Before it was Florida, but I decided to kind of step out of Florida for just it's too hot over there. Not the temperature too, but the prices are just incredibly high. You have to look forever in order to get a deal. Additionally, the insurance was spiking up due to the hurricanes. So I moved up to the Carolinas, great market, and connected with Jake and Gino students that were in Texas. And it took approximately 8 months for me to get my first deal. And that just kind of happened by accident. And you can say accident or luck or just hard work. So all three, I think, took a big part where somebody reached out to me and they said, hey, do you want to be an LP in the deal? And I said, no, not really. I'm looking to be a JV or a GP, a co-GP. And they said, you know what? It's fine. No problem. And then he calls me back 3 days later and he goes, hey, listen, why don't you interview with the operators, with the team? See if you fit, and then maybe you can be a co-GP. So I did the interview, and they go, so how much money can you raise? And I was so bold. I'm like, oh, no problem, 500,000, and I never did it before.
Okay. Wow.
And they're like, all right, sure, yeah, let's go. So I got on a team to buy an apartment complex in San Antonio.
Okay.
And I was everywhere. It was 506C, so I could advertise it. So I was advertising all over the place. I was just going crazy. And all I was hearing is no, 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 no. Even my friends are like, what? You in real estate? Get out of here. You don't know anything. Yeah, they thought it's a joke because I did not establish myself as a real estate professional. People knew me from my W-2 as a graphic designer instead of a realtor or a multifamily investor. So I had to rebrand myself and basically provide value to people and talk about real estate actually constantly, to the point of annoyance, I think.
Yeah.
So what I used to do is read everything when it comes to submarkets, rates, and how many sales happen in Bergen County, New Jersey, like everything. And I'm speaking with people, I'm like, oh, by the way, the sales in Bergen County have been spiking, stuff like that. So and people see that you know stuff, and they get to trust you.
Mm-hmm.
because it's not like your side gig. It's your main business. That's what you do. So I'm still working on rebranding and working on putting myself as a real estate professional. So long story short, I actually ended up raising 1.4 million on that deal.
Congratulations. Okay. All right.
It was completely crazy. I met a guy who really needed to do a 1031, and I presented him the opportunity, the apartment complex, and he liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And we negotiated back and forth a little bit, and he moved his 1031 into that project. So, and after that, everything kind of started snowballing, if that's the expression. So, after that, it becomes easier. But initial 8 months, it's pretty difficult because I was learning how to underwrite, how to evaluate markets, what to look for, how to identify where to go, each area's insurance. I mean, it's just so much. But if you pace yourself and really just put your head down and work, constantly communicate, constantly speak with teams everywhere, ask stupid questions. Just ask them. You want to look silly? It's fine. We all do. Half of us don't know. Like, for example, like I don't do land development. And I was at a networking event yesterday, and I was asking what he thought was a silly question, but I didn't know land development. It was interested to me. So ask a question. It's okay. Everybody looks silly sometimes. But that's my story, and here I am now. I have I worked on 4 syndications.
Okay.
And I'm a part of 4 JV deals in Kansas City, in Bradenton, which is right outside of Sarasota in Florida. 2 deals in the Carolinas, South and North. And all the other larger syndications that I worked on are in Dallas and Houston. So yeah.
So let's recap that, Vlad. So you change your mindset, right? You kind of level set with your spouse, right? You took action. You got a mentor. You saw the need to rebrand, and you went gangbusters in terms of putting yourself out there, right?
Yeah.
And telling folks what you do. I mean, if you don't, folks will never know, right? So totally understand that. So I guess, Vlad, nice question for you. So as you kind of think about what would you say was, you're like 8 months, right, to a year in, you're making progress. What would you say was that biggest hurdle for you as you were ramping up, right, and kind of getting involved in your syndications? But what was a constant hurdle for you, even though you've cracked the code to success and you're building?
Well, the biggest thing for me was I'm a fairly patient man, but I wanted to see success faster. I wanted to see results faster. And technically, this is my 3rd year in real estate. And you really don't see the results. Even now, I mean, I see some cash flow, but it's still not enough.
Yeah.
And I don't need fancy cars or anything like that. I mean, I just want to be comfortable and cover my expenses. That's the thing. That's why I'm still selling houses here in New Jersey to keep the lights on, because I have a mortgage, I have 2 kids, 3 cats, have to feed those cats, right? They eat a lot.
Feed animals,
yeah. But so in order to see the results and the cash flow, sometimes like on a deal that we closed in North Dallas, the cash flow starts on 3rd quarter of the 2nd year. So it's a long wait. We closed on it last November. So now I have to wait for almost 2 years to see something out of it. So it's a long game.
Yep.
Really. So my biggest hurdle is you work and you buy, but you see nothing. Nothing's coming out of it. And you're putting more work. You put more money into it. Not just you, but everybody, like the whole team. But you see nothing still. You kind of see that you bought something. You're like, oh my God, I bought $100 or 419, whatever it is. but you see nothing, like no results, almost, right? You see no cash flow. So that can be a little challenging, or it can bring you down. That's why I think working on your mindset is huge.
Yeah.
Staying positive, that's number one. Exercising, very important. Setting your mind right with meditation. I started journaling. See, my journal is right here.
Mm-hmm.
Started journaling because a lot of people say all we do is we absorb. We absorb a lot of information. A lot of info is coming into our mind, but we do not let it out, right? So, according to Ben Hardy, he's written several books like Who Not How, Be Your Future Self, 10x is easier than 2x.
Yep.
He says when you journal, you kind of do an output from your brain. It kind of unloads. So it's very important to set your mind so you're not going to get really, I guess, down on whatever's happening. In addition, I stopped watching the news because, in my opinion, I mean, I'm not saying you do that, but for me, it was very negative. And I don't like negativity, so I try to remove all the negativity out of my life. So by staying positive, by driving forward, even few of my friends, I didn't actually remove them from my life, but I changed the way I do things. I'll give you an example. So one of my friends, he's very negative all the time. He has problems, whatever it is. And we used to go to barbecues all the time, and he would just tell me all these negative things, and it kind of brings you down, right? So guess what? We ride motorcycles. I ride a motorcycle. He does too.
Okay.
Guess what I'm doing now? I'm not going to barbecues with him. He's still my friend, but we ride motorcycles together. And when you ride motorcycles, you don't talk much. You just have fun, right? So he can't give me all that negative energy. Because, I mean, we stop, we refuel, we keep going. So at the end of the day, we ride for 5 hours, for 6 hours. We say to each other 3 sentences. He's still my friend, but you just kind of change a little bit. So that's my goal, to be positive, to exercise, meditate, do yoga, things like that. I thought, honestly, and no offense to anybody, it was silly, but it's not. It really, really kind of focuses your mind on the day ahead. So, yeah.
So you're really kind of changing habits, right? You're changing habits with the folks you associate with, and you're lockstep on the goal, right? Your aim is to grow multifamily real estate. We understand that it's a long game, right? You know, it's not a get rich quick type of scenario, right? You know, it's a long game. You stay patient, you stick with it, and the wealth, you'll grow your net worth, right? You grow your wealth. And, you know, you got 2 young kids. I know we've chatted before, Vlad, like I got one, right? So, building the pillars and the foundations for that future. So good.
Yeah, it's, you just got to keep going. Don't give up. A lot of people give up, and they just, or they study, but they don't start. I know everybody says it, and I'm going to say it too. You can study, but you have to take action, and you have to do something. So basically, my goal now is to identify something that I'm very, very good at, and don't spread yourself too thin. So basically, just think of yourself as a business person, and if you're going to do everything, then you just average at everything. But identify 1 or 2 things that you're amazing at, and concentrate on those things, and that will accelerate your business and accelerate your life much faster. That's why I'm reading all these books like Who Not How. Find your who that can help me to solve the problem. Don't try to solve it yourself. I'll give you an example. So I was working on automations in my CRM, and it took me, I don't know, like 3 days. And I couldn't I could figure it out, but it was just not coming out with the same quality as I wanted. It was just average. So I'm like, why am I wasting my time for 2 days trying to figure out this automations in the CRM, right? So I found my who. So I found the person that is helping. He set up my automations. And all I'm doing now is providing content. Everything goes in my newsletter. And my newsletter is just, I think it's great. It's short, to the point. I have 2 pictures, 2 small articles that you can click, and it takes you to another page, right? So I'm not going to have a lot of text. And on the bottom, I'm putting a media section, a book that I've read that was pretty interesting, and you should check it out if you like, and the podcast. And that's it. Not necessarily my podcast, just a podcast episode that I listen to, 30 minutes, whatever it is, right? So I thought it was cool. So I put that there. If people want to click, sure, click. It's awesome. It's not about me. It's somebody else's podcast. So, but I thought it was just cool. So like my first book that I read that I really liked was Real Estate Raw by Bill Ham. It really explains the whole process of real estate and multifamily. So I think it's a nice small book. It's like 200 pages, really easy read, fairly easy. He's using some terminology, but it's pretty simple. So that's my who. I found a who to help me instead of figuring out how. So that's what I'm working on now.
Okay. All right, good. I appreciate you sharing that, and good, good intel about the direction, particularly of your newsletter, right? I mean, a lot of our, we're busy, right? We got a lot of stuff going on, right? A lot of tasks we try to act for the day. So the clear and the more concise a newsletter is, the best from more of a beneficial standpoint. Absorb the information, act on it, relate on it, and kind of keep proceeding. So I like that perspective that you share from that standpoint. Yeah. Now let's talk about, I know, because you're a realtor in the Jersey area, correct?
I am, yeah, in North Jersey, and I do some stuff in the West as well. West Jersey by Pennsylvania.
Okay, cool. So let's speak to the notion of the journey. So I'm assuming you're still maybe dabbling around in the single family space, given you're a realtor, and because sell single family homes that bring you income to help put food on your table as well, correct?
Yeah. Additionally, not only the food, but I take all the money that I get or commission that I get from selling residential real estate, and I reinvest into multifamily. So that's the goal. Yeah.
Recycle and redeploy, right? Kind of to build your wealth. So good stuff there. Good stuff there. So Vlad, so tell me, man, what I know you mentioned earlier we had a conversation. Your spouse indicated to you, hey, you need to get into this, right? Yeah. So let's talk about the collaboration with your spouse and how important spousal buy-in is for you to reach your goals to where you want to get to. You want to kind of speak to that briefly?
Yeah, I think it's huge. Actually, without her, we wouldn't be where we are now. It's her encouragement and a lot of encouragement, a lot of pushing me forward, because on a DISC test, basically it's your personality test. I'm a green.
Okay.
I'm very, and what a touch of yellow, but I like to be very even. I want to know when my next paycheck's coming from. I like to be comfortable. I don't like all this craziness, excitement, and change. I don't like change, but and she's very red, so she's driven. She wants to keep on moving forward, don't stop. So I had to actually change the way I act. And change the way I do things, because I'm very much out of my comfort zone, right? I don't know when my paycheck's coming in. I completely 180-degree changed my career, my lifestyle, my everything. So it was a big switch, and without her and support of my family, I wouldn't be able to do it. So in my opinion, support is huge. A lot of people some people might have conflicts where a spouse doesn't believe that it's possible or don't see results as fast. I spoke to people like that. I mean, it just takes more time. With me, actually, I wish I would have kind of, let go of my past faster and listened to my wife sooner, I guess. So instead of her spending, like, let's say 6 months on convincing me to try this, I should have been like, let's go. But it's just, it wasn't me. But
Yeah.
I'm glad I kind of came to. It took some time for her to convince me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, every situation, every household is different. I know,
Yeah.
Particularly, that's funny you mentioned that. And I asked the question because even in my household, right, I had dealt in single family for 15 years and been very successful in doing it. And my wife was just kind of hands off, right? I was just kind of handling everything. I had a power team. Stuff was going well. We were, fixing and flipping properties, and, she saw the checks, but wasn't really kind of delving or asking the question. She just knew it was coming. So, coming to multifamily, right? Similar ordeal, right? I decided to go to another seminar in Texas, even after I moved out of Texas, because, I've been in PA for 2 years, but before that I was in Dallas for 6 years. Yeah. And, kind of similar ordeal, right? My light bulb went off. Like, I get it. I understand scaling up multifamily, the opportunities associated with it. It takes work, right? As with anything. But I saw the benefit and the value from a long-term wealth generation standpoint, which is key for me, right? As we want that wealth to pass along to our kids, kids, etc. So I decided to join a mastermind as well. And she's like, "Oh, wait a minute, another $50,000?" I'm like, "Yeah, trust me on this." And she did. She's like, "I know you've made money in real estate. I trust you." And went to an event. Light bulb went off, and it was game over from there. So commitment to partner. Right. She retired last year, and we're pushing this thing forward from a multifamily real estate standpoint and other alternative assets. And now we kind of understand the tax benefits as well, which was key for me. Right. I understand, real estate, it takes time, right?
It does
to kind of grow the wealth. But I understand taxes. I understand the laws. And that, I was smiling from east to west. In terms of tax benefits, so
it's huge because you absolutely said it correctly. It's one of the big things that people don't understand, where they just have whatever they hear. So they invest, let's say, in I don't know, 401k or stocks, and that's a lot of people are doing that because that's what you hear about. Few invest, have self-directed IRAs and move their capital somewhere. Then you have crypto, of course, things like that. But the huge benefit that real estate provides, a lot of people don't know about. When I speak with my friends, they said, "Well, how can this be? How can this work? Is that a Ponzi scheme?" Few even asked me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not really. It's written in the tax code.
Yeah.
And I spoke with some people about depreciation, and they don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
And I didn't know either. So after being in this game for just a little bit, the stuff that I have learned, it's making sense now. It's clicking. One of the big things that I remember in the day, when Trump was president, his tax bill was like $100 or something like that, and everybody that I saw, I had a W-2 back then, and I didn't know anything about real estate.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh my God, look at this! He's stealing. He's this," and just doing all these kinds of crazy assumptions. But now I know what he's doing. He's just depreciating everything. So it's the accelerated depreciation and cost segregation. Things like that people don't know about. And when I try to explain it to them, they're like, "How is this possible?" And I'm like, it is. It's written right there.
It is possible.
Yeah.
That's funny you mention that. That's funny you mention that, Vlad, because I've had a real estate portfolio that have kind of garnered losses, and for the last few years, I had a business that ended up closing as well and had losses associated with it as well. The government incentivizes business owners, investors, right? That's the economic cycle turn that the government is looking for, and folks are being incentivized by that versus the employee, right? Where you're paying 30 to 40% tax, right? That's mandated, right? From that standpoint too. So, I think it's key, right? You're educating, right? You didn't know what you didn't know, from that standpoint, but hey, just keep educating, just keep putting it out there. I'm doing the same. I'm continually educating. I'm continually putting out videos. And hopefully it clicks. It has clicked for some of my friends, and they're starting to get it. Others, it has not. But all we can do is just keep putting what we know, keep educating, and putting content out there. And hopefully others will come along.
I mean, one of the big things that I've noticed is, since you don't know, it takes some time for them to kind of start going. Mm-hmm. And after my second year, few of my friends have invested with me in apartments, mm-hmm. and they see the potential, because one of my friends, he couldn't invest anywhere. He just has a job like that where he can't invest in stocks.
Yeah.
So he goes, hey, listen, my money is just sitting in a savings account. And I'm like, okay, so what's the inflation these days? And what's it, April 21st of 2023? Yeah. Like so the inflation's like, what, 10%, I think.
Yeah.
Whoever reports what, let's just say 10. Savings account gives you 3%. So 3%. Technically you lose it. So technically you're losing 7. Yeah. And I said, listen, just try it. Just really try it. Because and we had a long conversation. I explained everything, how everything works. And because he can't take advantage of stocks, because a lot of people know stocks, and they just kind of go for it. Many don't know multifamily. They know REITs, right? Because they kind of hear about it, but technically investing with somebody, I said you get more benefit by investing, let's say, in an operator, in a project directly. Many people don't know, or don't have friends, or don't know operators.
Yep.
So they can't invest directly. They have to go through real estate investment trusts and things like that. I'm like, you know me, and you don't want to invest with me? Perfectly okay. I can introduce you to like 100 more people that have been doing it for a long time, that have portfolios of 10, 15 properties, that 500 million of assets under management. I can introduce you to those people. Invest with them.
Yeah.
Get in. I don't care if you invest with me. Invest with them, but see the opportunities that real estate gives you. And a lot of them don't want to switch to real estate. They just don't care, because they like, the few of them are doctors, IT people, and they have their own. And my other friend, he has his own business, and he doesn't care to switch. They're happy where they are. So I'm giving them another way of investing and making money, and getting all those tax benefits as well, by being passive investor. Like, you don't have to do anything. You're a passive investor. Let's say on a previous deal it was $50,000. You get in, 5-year hold. You will technically, we're targeting doubling your money in 5 years, without paying any taxes due to, or very little taxes. Speak with your CPA. Don't quote me.
Disclaimer.
But basically, that's what we're targeting, because if you look at the depreciation, let's say on $100,000, you're looking at 60 to 65% of depreciation right there. That's just the first year. So if you're making 7% cash-on-cash return, which is, let's say, $8,000 on a $100,000 investment, and you have $60,000 in depreciation, all that depreciation carries over to the next year, and then the next year, and then the next year. It compounds. You never lose it.
You'll never lose it.
And
for the better.
Exactly, and people don't know about it either. I was speaking with somebody, very nice lady, and she goes, I have over 400,000 in depreciation. And it blew my mind. I'm like, how? What? That's what she has, yeah.
Wow. Keeping that bank chest.
Yeah.
Going. Yeah.
So she's like, and I'm speaking with a few other people, and you know how everybody's like, oh my God, tax season. Oh, it's the worst time. Everybody's freaking out over tax season. She goes, I love the tax season. I love it because I get all this money back. Right? So all her income is pretty much, wiped off by all the depreciation, and she makes money. And it's not how much money you make, it's how much you keep ultimately. Yeah. So speak with your CPA or speak with your accountant when it comes to this.
Yep.
Because, for example, you can even invest 401k, and a lot of people don't know. Let's say you invest 401k, and then you can't touch that money anyway until you're 65, or what is it, 59 and a half or something. Yeah, 59 and a half. But then, it's a smaller, you have to pay larger anyway. Let's just say 60.
Yeah.
But you can't touch that money. So if you're 40 and you're putting 100,000 and it compounds and doubles every year. So if you put in 100,000, it doesn't go 100, 200, 3. It's 100, 200, 400,000. And it compounds. That's the thing, and people are missing it. And in many cases, when operators buy an apartment complex, they refi in 3 years. So you get your cash back, and then it's infinite cash flow for the other 2 years, if it's a 5-year hold. So there's so many opportunities and possibilities that is just, so many options.
Yeah.
All we can do is educate.
Yeah. Man, you took the words right out of my mouth, Vlad. All we can do is educate, continue putting it out on social media, continue building the proximity circle, right? You are like your closest 5 folks that you associate yourself with. So, which is key and critical, right? So, I have a saying here, even though I put out some reels on social media, when I go out running, right? It's New Jersey, it's PA, it's cold, right? Sometimes podcast a day while exercising keeps the doctor away. Longevity of health, trying to grow wealth. So that's a motto that I've kind of,
that sounds catchy.
Yeah, man,
that's
jump
cool
on there and, living and breathing by it daily. So, well, Vlad, man, I really appreciate you coming on the Get Diversified show, sharing your story, telling your insights of how you got into real estate, your spouse's buy-in, and your plan that you're putting in place for your 2 young kids, man. So, Vlad, before we close the show, if folks want to reach you, and we'll add this to the show notes as well, let folks know how they can get in contact with you, sir.
Yeah, I have a very unique name, Vlad Arakcheyev. I think I'm the only Arakcheyev on social media, but I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I'm gonna start my YouTube channel soon. I don't have it yet, but LinkedIn, of course, and you can just reach out to me and email me, Vlad at zonticventures.com. That's my company, and most importantly, just educate. Listen to a podcast. They're pretty, I understand that you'd rather be like watching TV or getting something, but they're pretty interesting. Some people really talk like cool stuff on how to make LLCs and things like that, and invest using companies. And it's really, really exciting stuff. So take a listen. And most importantly, you know what? Work on yourself. And be positive, stay positive, go away from the negative stuff.
Yeah.
Because that kind of brings you down. So even if whatever you do, just like wake up and be happy. Live everything to just like live to the fullest. So it's really cool to be positive and excited for what we have. So.
Hey, Vlad, really appreciate those closing thoughts, man. So, hey, we'll be sure to put in the show notes your information, your email, as well as your LinkedIn. And Vlad, on behalf of myself, the More Land Equity Capital team here in Pittsburgh, man, thank you for being on the Get Diversified show, man. I know our viewers are gonna appreciate this series. So, thanks very much, sir. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
You got it.